Space Jews. Alright. It's gonna get worse than that. They get messed up. They want to claim the Earth for their very own. It's a pretty good plotline, huh?
Only a select few comedians have been able to amass a fan base as massive as Dave Chappelle. He became a prominent figure in the entertainment industry after his meteoric rise to fame with the acclaimed Chappelle's Show. However, like most things, fame comes with its own set of challenges. It's often observed that established figures within the industry can be apprehensive when an artist achieves significant fame and success. In some cases, they may resort to various means to maintain their influence and prevent artists from reaching greater heights.
Dave Chappelle was decapitated in front of us.
Dave Chappelle has had first-hand experience with both the brighter and darker aspects of Hollywood, and he's got a handful of intriguing stories to share about what truly unfolds behind the scenes. One thing remains unequivocal. The glitzy facade of Hollywood doesn't quite reflect the unvarnished reality, and Dave always had a keen understanding of this. He recognized that no matter how much money might be involved, it wouldn't suffice as compensation for the often challenging dynamics that exist between artists and industry power players.
It was so much money, how could you do that, and blah, 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 but you know, if I had taken that money and finished the show, I would have got the money, but I might never have been the same.
Individuals who dare to challenge the established elite often find themselves subjected to bullying and character defamation. Dave experienced his own set of disheartening encounters, enduring name-calling and witnessing the disheartening transformation of friends and supporters who turned against him, as he candidly recounts in this interview.
The drum beat is, he's crazy, he smokes crack, he's this, he's that.
Yeah.
It was a wild experience. The way people close to you react to it, like I had failed or I'd ruined my life.
In the face of these numerous challenges and injustices, Dave Chappelle has remained resolute and emerged as a prominent voice against the Hollywood elite. He wasn't the sole individual to endure mistreatment from those in power, but he distinguished himself by having the courage to stand up for himself. What he may not have initially realized is that his adversary was a deeply ingrained system built on centuries of oppression. Who exactly is Dave Chappelle standing up against? How far has he managed to come after all these years? And why are they teaming up against him now? During an episode of Saturday Night Live, Dave Chappelle, in an instance that some called anti-Semitic, emphasized the substantial presence of Jewish individuals in the entertainment industry. Quote, "I've been to Hollywood. This is just what I saw," he said during his widely dissected monologue. "It's a lot of Jews, like a lot," said Chappelle. But where did that statement come from? It all started when Amy Schumer, the Jewish comedian, shared an Instagram post concerning the recent strike on a Gaza Strip hospital, believed to have caused numerous casualties. In the Instagram story post, the comedian expressed her disapproval, accusing several Western media outlets of prematurely attributing blame to Israel for the hospital explosion without proper fact-checking. Additionally, she called for the dismissal of specific editors at these outlets.
Heartbreaking to see violence escalate, and we hope and pray that someday peace is possible.
Apparently, a part of what she said centered on black people, and this got Dave Chappelle to strongly criticize Amy for implying that black people are somehow involved in the ongoing conflict between the neighboring countries. Amy's comments came in the aftermath of an explosion at the Al-Ali hospital in the northern Gaza Strip. According to the Palestinian Health Ministry, around 500 people, many of whom had been displaced due to an Israeli evacuation order, lost their lives in the explosion.
Hundreds are dead after a blast at a hospital. Chaos and horror at the scene. Much of the building has been destroyed.
While Palestinian militants and officials attributed the incident to an Israeli airstrike, the Israel Defense Forces personnel and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu attributed it to an errant rocket fired from Gaza by the Palestinian Islamic Jihad group. In the light of that, Schumer's remarks have triggered significant backlash on social media, particularly on X, formerly Twitter, where many individuals challenged her statement. Amy Schumer is the direct result of what happens when you let a mediocre American white woman think that her opinions and thoughts hold some kind of weight, wrote one detractor, with another user writing, quote, "First they came for Dave Chappelle and they laughed because he is funny. Then they came for Louis C.K. And that joke would be too obvious. No one comes for Amy Schumer." In spite of recent reports suggesting that Israel may not be responsible for the explosion at the Gaza hospital, a barrage of harsh comments continues to flood social media platforms, directed at Amy over her statements. Hamas maintains that Israel is to blame and has promised to release video evidence supporting this claim.
Israel is doing this to pressure the Palestinian community in Gaza to turn against Hamas. Is that right?
I'm sure that's part of it, yes.
So this is exactly what terrorist organizations do.
The comedian, who has shared numerous posts expressing condolences for the loss of innocent lives in both Israel and Palestine, has not publicly addressed the ongoing backlash. However, she has disabled comments on her most recent Instagram posts. Evan Nman, CEO of the global PR firm Red Banyan, told Newsweek that there is little to no logical explanation for the controversy sparked by Amy's post. Quote, "The fact that she is being attacked is outrageous," he said. "Since when has delivering factual information and encouraging people to be careful to verify before buying into falsehood become an offense? The world has turned upside down. To deliver factual information should not result in being labeled as an Islamophobe. It's an inaccurate, unfair characterization of her, and she should be applauded for insisting on facts and cautioning against buying into lies." Nman, the author of The Cancel Culture Curse, also emphasized that Amy's critics primarily consist of anonymous individuals who wield their keyboards as weapons. They tend to target not only her, but also celebrities and individuals with a more prominent and influential public presence. Their approach largely involves ad hominem attacks, so whether it's Amy Schumer or another celebrity, this is what social media has devolved into, a blood sport of criticism and venom. Schumer, said Nman, should be commended for demonstrating a degree of moral courage by weighing in on the conflict. And so if people want to be offended by her posts, that's their problem and not hers. Amy Schumer is not a Middle East scholar or expert, but the people attacking her certainly aren't either. That's worth remembering here, Nman said. She's been canceled for insisting that people pay attention to the truth. That's the world that we're living in. The recent conflict has attracted massive reactions from Hollywood bigwigs. A few days back, Dave Chappelle sparked a walkout during a show in Boston after slamming Israel for what he considers its war crimes against Palestinians. The comedian made the comments after telling the audience that he didn't think students who were protesting in support of Palestine should lose job offers. Then a furious audience member shouted, "Shut up," according to the Wall Street Journal. But the 50-year-old comic, who made it clear he also condemned the terror attack by Hamas on October 7th, went on to accuse the Israeli government of killing innocent civilians, as well as cutting off water and other essentials. Some in the TD Garden Arena got up and left, while others applauded, shouting "Free Palestine." At the end of the show, Chappelle argued that two wrongs did not make a right.
An audience member says that it started when someone told Chappelle to shut up after he said he didn't think people should lose their jobs for supporting Palestinians.
An audience member who walked out of the show took to social media to criticize Chappelle over his comments. One person said, "Anybody who booed or walked out or tries to cancel Dave is doing him a favor by showing him who his real fans and friends are." He condemned the Hamas attacks, but then stood up against the injustice of turning off the water for 2 million people in response to it. Perfectly reasonable, nobody should have a problem with what he said. Another one added, "Comedians can't use art imitates life, freedom of speech, or the word opinion. They won't be imprisoned or sentenced to death, but they could lose their livelihood by a smiling and friendly Gestapo." Dave Chappelle, known for his successful career in movies and television, converted to Islam in the 1990s when he was 17 years old. He shared insights into his religious beliefs during a conversation on the Netflix series My Next Guest Needs No Introduction with David Letterman. It's evident that Dave Chappelle and Amy Schumer hold differing perspectives on the ongoing conflict.
Chappelle reportedly responded by criticizing the Israeli government's decision to cut off food, water, and electricity to Gaza. He also accused Israel of innocent civilians,
while acknowledging that it is not accurate and may be anti-Semitic to claim that Jews dominate the industry. The comedian pointed out that arriving at such a conclusion is not an unreasonable thought. Dave Chappelle's episode of SNL garnered the highest viewership of the season, with 4.8 million viewers when it aired on NBC, surpassing the hosting stint by Jewish comedian Amy Schumer. Furthermore, his monologue accumulated more than 8.1 million views on YouTube.
A spokesman for Chappelle told the Journal the comedian denies being in Boston that night despite the show being listed among his dates by ticket outlet.
The Anti-Defamation League was quick to denounce Chappelle's act, calling it anti-Semitic. Other prominent Jews have followed suit. Quote, "I was very disturbed to see him speaking to millions of people. A lot of anti-Semitic tropes." Pamela Nadell, a professor at American University who researches anti-Semitism, told the Jewish Telegraphic Agency. However, Chappelle's commentary, inspired by the incidents involving Kanye West and Kyrie Irving, wasn't the first one to push these theories when he hinted at the idea of Jews Jews having a significant influence in Hollywood. In the early 20th century, many major movie studios were established by first-generation secular immigrants from Eastern Europe who had moved to the United States. Icons like Carl Laemmle, Universal, Adolf Zukor, Paramount, William Fox, Fox, Louis B. Mayer, MGM, and Benjamin Warner, Warner, were instrumental in shaping the early film industry, setting the stage for its future growth and development.
By the time he formed Universal, he was 40 years old. But Laemmle created something that would last forever.
Over the past century, the film industry has evolved significantly, with many studios becoming part of larger corporate conglomerates. When dealing with this notion, it's important to avoid the misconceptions that can arise from equating the substantial presence of Jewish professionals with ownership and control of the entire industry, a talking point that has been pushed by anti-Semites for generations. The film industry has diversified considerably, and many different backgrounds and perspectives contribute to its rich tapestry. There are Jewish people that remain active in Hollywood in a variety of roles, but it would be impossible to say that they, quote, run Hollywood, or that they own Hollywood. Pamela Nadell said, "Whenever Jewish people enter into any kind of position where they might have influence over people who are not Jewish, then all of a sudden it's seen as some kind of conspiracy. Conspiracy theories have historically targeted Jews in Hollywood since the industry's inception. This is partly because a significant number of Jewish individuals were influential in Hollywood's early years. Joseph Breen, who headed the industry's production code office for many years and aimed to align movies with Catholic moral standards, wrongfully attributed the inclusion of violence and moral depravity in films to, quote, the Jews."
It was the wide open West, and so Jews flocked to it because it was open. And I think also Jews were very literate.
However, the success of Jewish individuals in rising to the top of the fledgling motion picture industry was not due to any secretive cabal. Historians explain that Hollywood offered a relatively low barrier to entry for the entrepreneurial business people, and lacked the anti-Semitic barriers that were present in other established industries. This accessibility and openness allowed a diverse group of individuals to contribute to the industry's growth and development. There were no social barriers in a business as new and faintly disreputable as the movies were in the early years of the 20th century. Historian Neil Gabler writes in his landmark 1988 book, An Empire of Their Own. In the book, it's highlighted that the movie industry, which emerged from professions like vaudeville and the garment industry where Jews had already established a presence, did not have the same barriers as more established industries to keep Jewish people and other minority groups out. This relative openness allowed Jews, particularly recent immigrants, to thrive in show business when they might have faced greater challenges in other sectors.
They took over. They created Hollywood, basically. Do I think they did a good job of creating Hollywood? Well, they did a very good job commercially.
For example, prolific producer David Selznick, known for producing films like Gone with the Wind and Rebecca, spent many years at MGM, which was run by his father-in-law Louis B. Mayer. However, in exchange for their success, prominent Jewish people in Hollywood often felt pressured to suppress their Jewish identity, eager to assimilate into American society. They faced criticism and anti-Semitic attacks from various groups, including Christian organizations like the Legion of Decency and anti-communist groups. These groups accused Hollywood's Jewish figures of promoting loose morals and conspiring against American society. As a result, many Jewish studio heads avoided producing movies with Jewish themes, removed anti-Semitic content from their films, and refrained from exerting their influence in ways that were distinctly Jewish. This was the case even though many of the most acclaimed writers and directors of Hollywood's golden era were also Jewish.
They're all credited with creating the 1950s version of Americana, which is not religious at all. Not spiritual really at all, but just wholesome.
Even landmark films like Gentleman's Agreement, which dealt with anti-Semitism, lacked Jewish producers, directors, or major stars, although some of the credited writers were Jewish.
Look, I'm Jewish and you don't take Jews, that's it, isn't it?
I never said that.
If you don't accept Jews, say so.
Don't raise your voice to me, Mr. Green. You speak a little more quietly, please.
Do you or don't you?
During the inhumane Nazi era of World War II, Hollywood's Jewish figures notably avoided offending Hitler and continued doing business with Germany. They also generally refrained from portraying Nazis as villains in films during the pre-war years. With the decline of the studio system in the 1960s, Jewish creatives from Mel Brooks to Steven Spielberg to Natalie Portman no longer needed to hide their Jewish identity. Instead, they made it an integral part of their public personas. Steven Spielberg, in a recent New York Times interview, acknowledged that Hollywood was a welcoming place for him when he began his career in the film industry. Quote, "Being Jewish in America is not the same as being Jewish in Hollywood," he said while promoting The Fabelmans, a loose retelling of his own Jewish upbringing. "Being Jewish in Hollywood is like wanting to be in the popular circle and immediately being accepted, as I have been in that circle, by a lot of diversity but also by a lot of people who in fact are Jewish. Still, such ethnic affinity has often been deemed conspiratorial. Hollywood is run by Jews and owned by Jews," Marlon Brando declared in a 1996 interview with Larry King, further claiming that Jewish studio executives prevented anti-Semitic stereotypes from being depicted on screen while allowing stereotypes of every other minority group because that's where you circle the wagons around. The suspicion and stereotypes surrounding Jewish people in show business have unfortunately persisted into the modern day, as exemplified by recent comments from individuals like Chappelle and West. In Kanye West's tweets that contributed to the downfall of his business endeavors and overall career, he specifically targeted Jewish producers and managers in the entertainment industry he was associated with. This mirrors a pattern where those who subscribe to anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about Jewish control tend to focus on Jews in influential roles behind the scenes, often out of the public eye. Ignoring the many industry leaders who are not Jewish, such conspiracy theorists tend to focus on the successful managers and lawyers in Hollywood who are, including Jeremy Zimmer, Ari Emanuel, Alan Grubman, and Harvey Weinstein, whose decades of abuse, scorched earth targeting of his accusers, and eventual downfall are the subject of the movie She Said.
We need to... Are you talking to Gwyneth Paltrow?
Gwyneth's not in the story, Harvey.
Why don't you tell me who's on the record and let me respond to that?
And in a similar fashion to Brando, Chappelle suggests that there is a double standard in talking about ethnic groups, with jokes about Jewish people being seen as taboo in a way that jokes about black people and other groups are not. If they're black, then it's a gang. If they're Italian, it's a mob. If they're Jewish, it's a coincidence and you should never speak about it, said Chappelle. Simultaneously, as individuals from the Jewish community both within and beyond the entertainment industry strive to combat these stereotypes, they are also advocating for increased representation. The inauguration of the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures in Los Angeles last year notably excluded Jews from Hollywood's foundational narrative, provoking criticism from Jewish figures in the industry. Eventually, this led to the commitment to establish a new permanent exhibition space dedicated to highlighting the contributions of Jews in the film industry.
Wholesome, unidentifiable American was part of what I think they wanted to become, having fled Eastern Europe and the pogroms. Let's just lay low.
Moreover, the Chappelle episode evoked long-standing dynamics in the relationship between Jews and Hollywood in another manner. Lorne Michaels, the executive producer of Saturday Night Live, who likely approved the monologue for broadcast, happens to be Jewish, and many celebrities voiced against Dave, who were on the side of Amy. Apparently, Amy, who has previously used her platform to tackle issues of social justice, conveyed her heartfelt sympathy for the people of both Israel and Gaza, emphasizing the importance of recognizing that Palestinians are not synonymous with Hamas, a militant group that seeks to destroy Israel. "I'm not laughing anymore or being quiet anymore," Schumer boldly declared in her post. "I'm proud to be descended from a population they have tried to exterminate over and over again over thousands of years. My ancestors fought too hard and survived too much for me to sit quietly. I am Jewish, I am proud. I love my Palestinian brothers and sisters," she stated. Several notable celebrities have taken to social media to express their support for Israel during the recent conflict with Hamas, which erupted following a major attack by Palestinian militants last month. Gal Gadot, who hails from Israel and served 2 mandatory years in the Israel Defense Forces, was among the prominent voices speaking out about the situation. Quote, "I stand with Israel. You should too," Gal wrote in an Instagram post published in the recent past. "The world cannot sit on the fence when these horrific acts of terror are happening." Gal Gadot has shared several Instagram stories regarding the ongoing conflict, including one that provides information on the situation. It's important to note that the numbers and details about casualties and events may change over time, due to the evolving nature of conflicts. However, her message highlights the impact of the conflict on both Israelis and Palestinians. "My heart breaks. My country is at war. I worry for my family, my friends. I worry for my people. This is a vicious cycle that has been going on for far too long. Israel deserves to live as a free and safe nation." Jerusalem-born talent manager Guy Oseary, perhaps best known to lay people for his long-standing business relationship with Madonna, also posted a statement of support. While it no longer appears to be online, it was reposted by one-time Oseary client, comedian Amy Schumer. According to Amy's repost, Oseary posted a video that appears to be from the Supernova Music Festival, which was attacked by Hamas forces, as the BBC reported.
Seriously,
It's really living hell. Never seen something like this. I've been in 2 wars in my life, and never seen anything like this.
Actor Jamie Lee Curtis also reposted the images shared by Osiri, adding "my hand in yours" alongside an emoji of the flag of Israel. Yael Grobglas, whose career began in Israel before she achieved US stardom in shows like Jane the Virgin, lent her voice to the fight as well. Via Instagram, she wrote, quote, "Israel is under a massive terrorist attack. Hundreds of innocent Israeli civilians emmed, many kidnapped while others are held hostage. My heart is with everyone back home. I stand with Israel." Meanwhile, on X, formerly Twitter, actor and comedian Sarah Silverman posted the same images and videos shared by Osiri and others. She wrote, "My sister and nieces and nephews are there. They've been protesting Bibi for months. Bibi is the nickname of Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Fight for a two-state solution," Silverman wrote. "Israelis are Jews and Arabs and all colors. There's so much complexity to this, but make no mistake, Hamas is a terror organization whose mission statement is to kill all Jews. This F-world breaks my heart. But it is not only Israel that has been receiving celebrity backing during the war. Within the realm of Middle Eastern celebrity, there is unanimity on the issue. Stars like Bassem Youssef, Cherihan, Fifi Abdo, and Yusra all quickly expressed their support for the Palestinian people of Gaza. Expectedly, Western celebrities are more hesitant. However, some have expressed their support for Palestine regardless. Susan Sarandon is one of them. Sarandon, the lead in Thelma and Louise, is considered one of the most provocative and problematic actresses in Hollywood. For years, she has been committed to defending the rights of Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. A figure on the far-left wing of the American Democratic Party, a fervent climate and anti-Iraq war activist, Sarandon has been sharing the testimonies of distressed Gazans and Amnesty International statements of condemnation since October 7th. She also praised Ireland's pro-Palestinian stance on the issue. The 77-year-old actress has called on her American followers to urge their representatives and the White House to demand a ceasefire in Gaza. Then there is Mark Ruffalo. The Avengers star is very active on social media and did not wait for recent events to show his unwavering support for the Palestinian people. In March 2023, Mark Ruffalo strongly condemned the calls by Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich to eliminate Hawara, a Palestinian town in the northern part of the occupied West Bank. However, the alleged agenda against Dave is still moving on. More and more celebrities are coming forward to talk against him, and people think that he is on target only because of his religion.